Father told me that there have been threats against him. Death threats. He suggested that Bart and I might prefer to skip the rally tomorrow. I don't want it to look like we don't believe in Father's candidacy. Rumors are so easy to start and so difficult to quench. I told him that I would not allow his enemies to capitalize on our absence from the stage. I want to tell Eros about the time I stood on the stage with her grandfather and knew he would one day be president. I know we shall be okay. Nobody would really wish to hurt my father. He will be the best president ever. Riley Carlisle, final diary entry.
In the conference room in the business building, the 5 men were meeting to discuss the situation. Nico said,
I have researched it since Darin first alerted me to its existence. It was created by Quincy Lucullus Amador. I had to do some digging, but was able to get at least part of the story.
He paused for a moment before continuing.
Percival Amadeus was the 83rd keeper of the soul of Estolia. He and his Cailey had 1 son and 1 daughter, born 11 years apart. In the fullness of time, their daughter, Rose Medley, married Phineas Amador, and they were blessed with only 1 child, Quincy Lucullus.
Nico took a breath before delving into the next part of the story.
He began his acolyte year, but did not remain for the full term. He decided that he did not agree with the Estolian way of life, and he moved to London, and from there ended up in San Francisco. He amassed a small fortune rapidly and was considered a bit of a Romeo.
He planned to remain a playboy of sorts,
Leon said.
He turned 30 in 1906, and naturally, he met a woman who tempted him to settle down. She was his final romantic liaison. Shortly after they began their affair, he received a devastating injury in the 1906 earthquake in San Francisco. Paralyzed from the waist down, he lived alone for the rest of his life. He increased his wealth steadily over the 7 years between his accident and his death. He grew bitter, believing that deity had let him down by allowing him to be so grievously injured. In that bitterness, he decided that Estolia was the equivalent of a cult and that it should be exposed.
As Leon concluded his analysis, the furrow between his brows and the small shake of his head were reflected in the unsettled expressions on the faces of the men around him.
Why require the applicant to obtain an Estolian?
Darin asked. Zeb answered.
Back in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Estolians were bred more for their endurance and seat than for their loyalty. I think he stipulated Estolian because any other breed of horse would be questioned.
Nico leaned forward slightly.
I think that it is clear that deity influenced Quincy Amador in the establishment of the grant, and in the way the grant was obscured and buried. Deity also influenced the curiosity of Meredith Palmer so that she would discover it and come here, to this stable, to obtain an Estolian.
He glanced around the table.
There were 4 other breeders she might have contacted. While all have exceptional horses, we are the only Estolian-run establishment.
His tone left little room for debate.
Darin, what do you think about her?
Darin's expression was familiar to every man in the room. He said,
I did not know if I would be gifted with the aura. Now that I have, I am frustrated by the time between seeing it and being able to act upon it. I do not recall reading of anything similar in my acolyte year.
He looked at Nico. Nico shook his head.
It is rare but not unprecedented. Knowing the temptation that you will face, it is not a good idea to remain near her.
Darin opened his mouth as if to speak, a flicker of protest in his eyes, but Nico's firm shake of the head cut him off. Nico continued.
Until I saw Kenzie's aura, I did not understand the temptation that comes to every Estolian man who is gifted with the aura. You will be challenged enough to wait 11 weeks apart from her. I do not believe that the temptation of being with her is a challenge you should be made to endure.
Sighing heavily, Darin reluctantly agreed.
What is the exact plan?
Justice contributed to the conversation.
She and Kamchatka are perfectly matched to one another.
His eyes met Darin's and they both nodded in agreement.
It would seem that we should schedule 8 weeks of dressage after 10 weeks of basic instruction.
Darin leaned forward, a quiet sparkle in his eyes already focused on his upcoming birthday.
I am willing to do my part.
What about the grant?
Leon asked.
We have been selectively releasing a small amount of information about Estolia over the last 75 years,
Nico said.
ever since Leo and Jackie.
I believe,
Zeb said,
that we are being pushed by deity to subject our nation to greater exposure. We must be willing to demonstrate our beliefs and our modern perspective to the world around us.
He paused, eyes lowering slightly as though studying something only he could see. When he spoke again, his voice carried a quiet reverence.
I believe that this grant, Meredith Palmer's discovery of it, and the refinement of Andestolians to the point where they now are bonding to only one person, are all part of the greater plan that deity has for us. To effect change in the world, we must become better known.
Is there not risk involved in this?
Leon asked. Nico inclined his head, thoughtful rather than hesitant.
We must make a change in this world. If we remain sheltered from the nations of this planet, deity has proclaimed that the forces at work will destroy our ecosphere. What victory is it if we remain unknown to most of the world, yet are undone by those who prize profit over progeny? We must make a change, and to do it, we must be more visible. Deity will provide for the children of Zacharias when his children are willing to keep his promises and receive the blessings.
So the bottom line
Said Justice as he climbed to his feet.
is that we send her to Estolia. She will receive basic riding lessons and begin her work towards the grant. In 11 weeks, Darin will fly out with plans to commence instruction in some of the finer points of dressage. He will have plans to be there for 8 weeks to train her up in the more esoteric skills. During the first week,
Justice slanted a look at his assistant.
you will not be allowed to be alone with her. Then on the eve of your birthday, you will give your soul to her.
Darin nodded, but then he frowned and looked at Justice.
I will not be returning.
He realized out loud.
If she must research Estolia, write up information about our nation, and remain for 5 years, then I am effectively terminating my time here working with you.
Do not fret, Darin.
Justice said with a grin.
If you will recall, it was always assumed that you would find someone and keep your birth blessing by consummating the union on your birthday, followed by your elder year of study in the temple.
Nico added.
You should make plans to take on your elder year once you are done with your seclusion. Mary can take part in the instruction that Rhea is spearheading as part of her research for the grant. It feels,
He paused to grin happily.
like many of the intricate strands of our life in Estolia are coming together to make a tapestry of great beauty.
It was an ordinary day, peaceful and sweet, nothing too special